Hello, and welcome to Film Slam Stream's post-film conversation for Great. My name is Eric Seiler. I'm a professor of film, media arts, and communications, as well as moderator for this conversation. We are very pleased to be joined by the director of Great, Andreas Henn. Andreas Henn was born in Munich, Germany, and he has a love for film and theater. He founded the production company Dog Eat Films together with the cinematographer who shot the film Great that you had just seen. Since then, he's been producing and directing commercials. So joining us from Berlin is Andreas Henn. Hello, Andreas, and welcome.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you, and thanks for having me.
Well, it's so good to have you here. I must say, it's great to have you here, excuse the pun, with the title of the film. One thing before we begin, we have some students that are English-speaking students that are studying German, the German language, and who may be watching us. Can you say a special hello to them in German?
Ja, sehr gerne. Einen wunderschönen guten Abend nach Cleveland an all die fleißigen Deutschlerner. Ganz liebe Grüße aus Berlin und ich hoffe, dass ihr gleich Spaß habt, ich ein paar interessante Sachen sage und liebe Grüße.
Well, thank you for that. That's wonderful, as they would say in German. For that, I'm sure our German-speaking students appreciate that as well as everyone. Let's get right into this film. Very interesting film based on a true story of a Nikola Radhasevic, and who was a filmmaker. Can you give us a little bit of a background about him and about why he wanted to do this type of film exchange?
Yes. Well, he actually worked during the occupied Serbia in a film archive in Belgrade, and he was not really a filmmaker. He was a film enthusiast, and he worked in a film office of the Nazis. That was basically, like collecting like political correct movies during that time. And he and one day he actually found this copy of The Great Dictator like on some place in Belgrade where like movies that were not officially correct should be destroyed. And he actually took it, and he kind of liked the idea. He worked for some partisan groups, not really worked, but he was with some partisan groups, and he developed the idea to exchange the copy when he was actually in charge of the Wunschkonzert, delivering that movie, that propaganda movie, to some German soldier cinema in Valjevo. Valjevo is a small village next to Belgrade. And he did it not because he was the big resistant fighter. He just liked the idea to show 100 Nazis, the great dictator. He loved Charlie Chaplin, and he wanted to share it. And it was he didn't really think of himself as a big resistant fighter or something. He was just a film enthusiast and loved the idea of exchanging like a propaganda, a popular German propaganda movie with a great dictator.
Right, he was very daring too. He knew by doing this, it could have cost him his life, but at the end, he did not get executed. He got in prison and escaped from prison. What's the story with that?
Well, I think that in the end, it became kind of dangerous for him. If he would have thought in the very beginning about the consequences, he wouldn't have done it. I think always with crazy ideas, they pop up in your mind, and you just do it because it feels right in the moment. And in the end, he got not executed, but he got arrested and got deported to Berlin. There are some, which is not really historical proof, but there are some quotes, or how do you say, not quotes, but if some some voices, some historical voices that say that the copy he got sent with the copy of The Great Dictator to Berlin, and some say that that copy was the copy that Adolf Hitler actually saw, which I cannot really believe because it's 1942 and the movie came out in 1939, and but we don't know that. But I like kind of the idea that there was the copy, but we didn't tell that because we had no proof. And he got arrested in Berlin, and during a bombing, that prison got destroyed. So he had the opportunity to escape and made a long journey back home to Serbia, where he spent the rest of his life. And where we actually found him.
Oh, great. Great and interesting. So with all this, you've done extensive research on Nikola Radhasevic, and why did you decide to make a movie about him? Is it something that you just interested you, or what?
I when we, I mean, I think that the story of like how did we find that story? We actually were developing some totally other project and did some research in the 1930s and 40s in terms of movies that were shown in Germany during that time. And we also, of course, came up to The Great Dictator by Charlie Chaplin. And I read the Wikipedia article of The Great Dictator, the English one. And there was just this little quote where it said that there was some Serbian guy who showed The Great Dictator to the Nazis in some German soldier cinema. And you have to know that this movie was highly forbidden at that time. So when it came out in 1939, in more or less whole Europe, this movie was not officially politically correct, as you can imagine. So I really liked the idea. That was the initial moment that, the picture of 100 Nazis within one cinema, and that movie, we made the decision we have to tell that story. And so it's not, it's because you asked me why did I choose to make a movie about him. I didn't really choose to make a movie about him. I more made the decision about to tell the story about this moment. I really wanted to share that picture I had in my mind, like Nazis freaking out because Charlie Chaplin is talking to them, was a powerful image, and I wanted to share that. And we started the research, especially about him, about the projectionist, Nikola Radhasevic, and my business partner, cinematographer and co-producer Alex. After 2 or 3 weeks, he found this mobile number in the internet, and he called, and someone answered the phone with Nikola Radhasevic, and we had him on the phone. And one week later, he was in Berlin because we invited him to Berlin and paid the flight tickets. And there was this old guy coming towards us out of the airport, and we spent the whole weekend together. And he told us the whole story about what happened.
That's wonderful to get that firsthand information. Now, was he able to see the completed film?
He was able to see the completed film, and he died 6 months later. So that was kind of a really special, because we spent so many times. I visited him in Serbia. I visited his family and everything, and he always this story meant so much to him. He had different offers from other filmmakers during, I don't know, the last 30 years, and he didn't really make it. And in the end, he I don't know if why he chose us, I don't know. We didn't give him anything, actually, because we had no money, just a nice weekend in Berlin. But in the end, maybe our perspective on this project and our belief and the respect we had towards the story made it that he allowed us to tell that story. And it meant a lot to me that he saw the final movie, and he sadly passed away and half a year later.
Right. Well, what was his reaction to the film? I'm sure he enjoyed it.
He was super proud. He was super proud. He was super. Of course, it's kind of, he was very, very old in the end. So it must have been strange for him to see like a young, the Serbian actor who plays Nikola Radhasevic, Milos Bikovic. He's a very extremely popular actor in Serbia, and he of course knew Milos. And I think in the end it was kind of overwhelming, like the suddenly after, I don't know, 60 years later, no, even more, to see the story, to mix that with your own memories and everything. In the end, he was happy, he was proud, he was overwhelmed, and yeah.
Well, I can only imagine. I just wanted to let our viewers know we are talking to Andreas Henn, the director of Great. We're more than halfway through our conversation, so if you have questions, please put them in the portal, and we'll get to them as time allows. We'll go over a little bit more 20 minutes than we normally do, because this film has so much information and history that we need to unpack. Let's talk about the production of the film itself. I know you said you shot for you shared with me before we started, you shot for 13 days. And one interesting thing, the cast and the crew on the film, how did you get the cast and crew and, get funds to maybe even pay them? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Basically, I think everyone knows in the audience, if you make short films, there is not a lot money waiting for you. So you have to get people around you that work for free, which was also the fact within that project. Everyone, like from the cast to the second driver or the makeup assistant, everyone worked for free. I think, and of course we had fundings, and we were kind of okay funded for a short film. But as you can imagine, like the whole historical context was extremely expensive. Like, I don't know, for example, the cinema scene, we shot that in a cinema that was built, I think, in the 1920s in Munich. And we casted, like, every extra worked for free. I think they got a beer afterwards, but that was it basically. So we casted from the university in Munich students, and we asked them, "Hey, do you want to play a Nazi?" And they, the first reaction was like, "Eh, that's kind of strange," but in the end, I think we had, I don't know, 70 or 80 students that spent like 2 days in that cinema. We had 70 original, partly original uniforms, and that money, and of course the uniforms, all the art department, everything, you have to set up everything. You cannot go somewhere and say, when you shoot something in the 1940s, let's go there and shoot there. You have to change literally everything, and that is super expensive. And so it was a gift but we got a lot of support, and I think we got that because the story is so simple and so great at some point. So no, but like truly so unique, that everyone fell in love with it and couldn't reject our help or our how do you say, our cry for help.
Well, exactly. Well, that's remarkable how everyone embraced the story and embraced the project for free. That's great in that sense. And for the character of Nikolai and the general, did you hold auditions for Nikolai, or is this someone that you knew?
No, I didn't knew him, but I also I was pretty sure that I wanted to have a Serbian actor and not a German speaking actor who, you know, pretends with a slightly strange accent to be Serbian. So I researched Serbian actors, and I went to Belgrade and did a casting there with a little casting office. And then and the second time I think I went there, I met Milos Vikovic, and there was like you know, love on the first sight. So like we really liked each other, and he also, which is for me some important side effect, that he looked pretty similar to the young Nikola Radhasevic. That always helps a lot if you want to, you know, link the present with the past. That there are some, I don't know, of course, similarities in the behavior, similarities in the way you see things, but also like literally visual similarities. And we went for dinner and we just talked hours about it, and it was super. It was clear that that he wants to play it, and I was sure that he's the right one. And the others, yes, the smaller roles we did castings. I mean, of course, we are connected here, and we knew a lot of people and asked them if they wanted to join the casting. And there are also these two German higher officials, and we asked them directly because they're quite popular. And you cannot really, you know, if you have no money, you cannot really ask them to, hey, do you want to come to a casting for a job that is not paid? It's kind of difficult. So like the older one, I accidentally met him in a restaurant, and I waited so long that he went there with a date, and I waited so long that the date went to the toilet, and I stood up and went to his table and pitched him the project, and he liked it. And 1 week later, we met again and had a deal. So it was, you know, as you can see, it was a lot of crazy stories, coincidences. But I think if you and the team and everyone has the right energy, it's others see that, others feel that, and that helps a lot to convince. And yes.
Yeah, and it all came together. How long did it take for you to make this film from conception till the editing process? And in addition to the 13 days, of course, the
I
shooting.
would say over a year. I would say like the pre-production was over a year, and then the shoot were like 13 days, and then the post-production I don't know, 3 or 4 months, something like that. I think the editing was not the big problem. The music, we spent a lot of time with the composer Sandy Lopicic, who's a very well-known Balkan musician and theater director so, but I would say like, so all in all, 1.5 years, I would say.
Right. That's you know, a good amount of time. And yeah, speaking about the music, I thought it worked out really well. Working in which the way the film was scored. I mean, the timing was just right. You can tell you spent a lot of time and having the music work with the film. with that. We're almost out of time, but can you just tell us briefly, what do you want people to get out of the film, to take away from this film that you made?
I think first of all, it's a good question. I think the last, the film ends with a quote by Charlie Chaplin that says, like, every day, when you don't smile, it's not really, it wasn't worth it. So I think in the end, I don't really want to have that big message. I think you can do so much in life with humor and without thinking too much, and without, it was basically, of course, human as a weapon is basically the DNA of the story. And of course, it was a great tribute to the power of cinema. That well, like little moments, like I think, but the the when we were invited to a lot of festivals, and I always really wanted to go there, because that's the most important thing and where you learn so much, when you sit in the middle of the audience and you realize, okay, things that didn't work that well and things that worked out super good. And I think the fact of humor, everyone afterwards was always, not always, but many of the people that has seen the movie were smiling afterwards and came to me and were thinking, and this is the, I gave them, I don't know, 23 minutes of joy, more or less, and something that is worth to remember. And especially in hard times we have at the moment, I don't know, like in terms of society, politics, and everything, I think that helps sometimes. Doing
It
something
does.
with a little smile.
Exactly, especially a true story that you can tell.
Yeah.
You could have told this in a number of different ways, but going the comedy genre really worked to help tell a little bit of history. I see someone did sneak in a question before we were out of time. And the question is, what was the purpose of having the wolf in the woods towards the beginning of the film? Are we to interpret something more with that scene?
It's funny. I rewatched the movie just an hour ago, because I haven't seen it for a long time, and I was also saw the very beginning. I was like, yeah, the wolf. Yeah, that was this wolf. I like metaphors in movies, and metaphors that maybe where you, yes, of course, there's something that I don't know the English correct word, that you tell something in small that will gonna happen later on in the story, in real life. That's kind of a symbolic thing. But how do you say? It's like metaphor, correct? That basically we had, okay, the wolf is the opponent, and Nikola actually stops running, and we don't really know, okay, who's gonna win the situation. And then Nikola is brave enough to keep on running, and actually the wolf escapes. So this is some kind of hint to tell who he is, to maybe to set a bit clearer his character, but also in terms of the whole story, that he's gonna have to fight something bigger later, and but he will be brave enough to face the conflict.
Well,
I
good.
don't know if that's too much interpretation, but
No, but that's really good. That's a really well explained interpretation. And I'm just curious as how did you find the wolf? Is that someone's pet wolf, or how did you do that?
No, that wolf was super annoying, actually, because it was super. You have film animals. I don't know the name in English, but like animals that are kind of trained to work on sets, and that wolf was pretended to be a super professional highly experienced film wolf, who wasn't, because he was so young. He was just a year, and he didn't do anything. And we were like in the woods, and it was in the middle of the summer. It was super hot, and Nikola had to run, or Milos had to run and everything. And I don't know, we had like 40 takes for this. Every time he didn't really stand there where he should. We actually but we had to put like hundreds of sweets on the floor just to keep him on this place. And I think in the end, we had just 1 or 2 takes on camera where he actually looked up and looked towards the camera. So it was never, don't shoot with wolves. That's like a good advice I can give.
Exactly. That's the thing. Animals and children can, really do things to film. I know we've gone over time, but it's such a good conversation we're having. You said you just recently rewatched the film. Looking at the film recently, is there anything you would have done differently now that you've seen it again?
Yeah, of course. Of course, it always hurts watching your own stuff, because you realize you see so many mistakes, mistakes that no one, or like not everyone really recognizes, and that's actually super sad, because after such a long time, you cannot fix it. But I was really touched, because not because the film is so amazing, I didn't want to say that, but it's so many memories. I like the story, and if you listen to the music again, I recorded everything in Graz in Austria, and I remembered all the musicians, like everyone on the streets. This hanging guy is a close friend of mine, who had to hang for 2 hours. I actually saw so many friends again, because like all the extras who worked either as Serbian people, or who actually played like the role of a Nazi soldier. I basically know 50% of everyone in that movie quite closely and personally, and it was a hell of a project, and this is a very, very good memory, and of course in the end it has to do something with the DNA of the film, with the DNA of the story, that I still like, and it's worth it to watch it. And it was nice. I actually turned out the light here, and we sit back and didn't answer any calls, and just enjoyed it. It was nice. It was really nice.
Well, good. Well, good. I'm glad that you were able to enjoy it, and not to be too hard on yourself. And all right, before I have you say goodbye to our German-speaking students and everyone else, can you let everyone know what you're working on now? What can we expect to see from you in the near future?
Yeah, it took way too long, but I'm right now developing my first feature, which I'm gonna direct, and also I'm not writing it, but I'm co-writing it with a writer here, and it took ages after grade to find the right topic, actually, as a first feature, because grade was such a gift to make a movie about. I think sometimes I'm saying that you cannot really tell the story of grade and not making a good movie, because the initial DNA is so nice that you cannot really make it bad. So and I worked way too much in the ads industry after grade, because grade wasn't that. I didn't got like a lot of money out of it, so I had to work a lot of a couple of years, and it got comfortable, you know. And right now I'm developing a script and a project which is about the ads world and which plays in the ads world, and so it's kind of really personal, and also it will have the tone, like the tonality of great, some tragic and comedy thing. And it's a father and daughter story, and more or less the story of someone who got lost because he, as myself, who didn't know it, or who came at some point in his life where he didn't know what he has to believe actually in everything, and has some kind of crash. And so it's kind of it's hard, you know, I cannot pinpoint it right now, but it takes place nowadays. It takes place in the ads industry, and it's and about every other details we have to talk again.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing that, you know, hopefully soon. So we've gone way over, but this has been a really good and important conversation. Such a really, really well done film that I hope you can get a lot of mileage from. Not just for a general audience, but from students. A lot of history there, a lot of research. So congratulations on all your success with this film. And yes, and thank you so much for joining us today. And can you say goodbye to our German speaking students in German?
Ja, sehr gerne. Auf Wiedersehen, liebe Grüße aus Berlin. Hat mich sehr gefreut. Vielen Dank für eure Zeit. Ich hoffe, ich konnte ein bisschen Einblicke geben. Frohe Weihnachten, bleibt alle gesund, und Happy New Year.
Okay, well, thank you for that special
Thank
goodbye.
you very much for having me, and thanks for being such a great conversation partner.
All right, you're quite welcome. Thank you. And thank you to our audience for participating in this important and invigorating conversation. For more information about the upcoming 45th Cleveland International Film Festival, please follow us on social media or visit clevelandfilm.org. I'm Eric Seiler. Thank you.